Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena. We've really enjoyed our time here in Barbados, but hurricane season is almost upon us and we need to decide whether we go north or we go south.
My name is Mess, this is my wife Ava. I've spent the last 5 years on a somewhat extensive refit of our 1987 Warrior 38 named Athena. That was a DIY fun-packed adventure complete with a very extensive osmosis treatment, building a new rudder using vacuum infusion, rebuilding the entire deck, gutting and subsequently rebuilding most of the interior, painting the top sides, and a ton of other projects. The summer of 2021 we started cruising full time. Now we're finally ready to begin our adventure.
Before we can leave Barbados, we need to reprovision the boat, we need to refuel, maybe we squeeze in one last dive now that Ava's ears are feeling better, and most importantly, we need to retrieve my passport from the US Embassy where it's been on a short vacation. Let's jump in the dinghy and get ready for today's excursion. The only US Embassy in the Caribbean, at least to my knowledge, is located here in Barbados. And that was a big reason for us choosing to come here because I need to apply for a US visa. Now, long story short, I filled out the online application back in Mandelo. Last week, I attended my interview at the embassy here in Barbados. And then yesterday, we got word that the application has been processed. And today, I should be able to pick up my passport at a DHL near the airport. As is evidenced by the backpacks on our backs, we do have a bit of an ulterior motive with today besides picking up my passport. There's also a well, I think it's best described as the Caribbean version of Costco here on the island.
It works the same way as Costco. You get a membership and you buy in bulk, and they have locations all around the Caribbean, and they have one in Aruba, so we thought, why not get one and try it out?
Both the DHL and the PriceSmart is located on the southern part of the island, and to get there, we're going to take a bus.
This is the bus terminal behind me here in Spikestown. They actually have really great public transportation here in Barbados, and it is very inexpensive. It's about $350 Barbados, and you can take that from the north of the island to the south of the island, east coast, west coast. It's just a really great system. And on top of it, they have like this really nice app. It's called Move It, and it tells you the bus schedules, routes, everything.
The bus left the station slightly delayed, but the bus driver seemed set on clawing back every second of lost time. As we were making our way south along the coast, I noticed these little handles near the windows and started wondering if they were intended to break the glass in case of emergency. If that's the case, then I hope we tip onto our starboard side. Not deterred by the 50-50 chance of getting trapped inside of the bus, our journey continued. It quickly became apparent that the hard plastic seats and the lack of any suspension would make for a slightly spine-compressing adventure. Using the fancy Move It app, we could input our destination and the app would show us the closest bus stop. Zooming out a little bit, we can also see the location of the bus based off of GPS. That is pretty dang spiffy. Our spines thusly compressed. We should now only be a few hundred meters from the DHL. So we're supposed to be there now, but I don't really see any DHL store. Okay, sweet success. Turns out Google Maps was wrong by about half a kilometer and it's on the other side of the road, but DHL.
See, I automatically go to worst case scenario. I was like, oh my God, now his passport's gonna be lost. We're gonna have to find like some kind of Danish embassy. We're not gonna be able to leave Barbados ever. And then it was right around the corner.
Yep, big giant success. I got my passport back and I now have a visa that's valid for the next 10 years to get into the US.
After a short bus ride and then a quick hop in a taxi, we arrived at PriceSmart. Let the shopping begin, baby. This place is just like Costco. They even have like some Kirkland brand stuff here, but you can get a TV or you can get 5 pounds of pistachio. It's up to you. To be honest, I was not even a big fan of Costco before. I would only go if Mads came into town because he loves Costco. I just feel like there's always too much, but I don't know. I think maybe there's just something from like being away from it so long, like I've grown fond of it.
Or you've come to your senses.
My birthday's on Monday. I think maybe we need one. We need a couple ranches. Actually, let's just get the whole thing. Oh my God. Beautiful, glorious almond butter. I hate to be that person that says that I eat almond butter, but I have been searching for almond butter that isn't like a bajillion dollars an ounce, and I'm getting this.
And the almond lady strikes again.
I'm whatever. I don't want to be like an almond mom. Everyone's like, an almond mom.
The real question is, how many is she gonna get?
Should I get two? I mean,
One pallet or two?
They're so much cheaper than at the grocery store. Kirkland. Of course, it's the almond flour. Oh, I spot something.
Oh, Henry! That I know is good. Ava, step away from the almonds.
Okay.
There she goes, hunting for more almonds. This has been quite the day, but we are finally back aboard Athena with our haul of PriceSmart stuff. This pile of glorious stuff cost us 722 Barbados, which would be 360 US roughly, I think. So yeah, I don't think that's horrible. Besides this yucky almond stuff, ugh.
Leave my almonds alone. And I just want to make clear, I drink almond milk not for health reasons, just because I prefer the taste. And I also like almond butter. I know this is going to be very controversial over peanut butter. I'm not a huge peanut butter person. But the main reason why we went to PriceSmart was not to get almonds. It was to get meat. And that's why we have this huge thing of beef and chicken, because the meat is horrendously expensive in the local markets. But the produce is actually better in the local markets. Well, the prices are better. So we'll just get that there.
I mentioned our big decision in the beginning of the video. Every year from June, July-ish to November-ish here in the Caribbean is hurricane season. And there's this really cool interactive map here where you can see the path of all the hurricanes. I think this goes back to 18 something. And well, as you can see, we either go north or we go south. But for our insurance to cover us if we want to go north, we have to go really far north, up to the Chesapeake basically. Whereas if we want to go south, well, our insurance won't cover us unless we go further south than 10 degrees north, which we won't be. But the historical path of all of these hurricanes are above where we could go. A lot of cruisers in the Caribbean choose to spend hurricane season somewhere like Grenada or Trinidad, or the ABCs, where it's very rare for those areas to see named storms. No matter if we choose to go north or south, we have to haul out to take care of some boat projects. On that list is stuff like, for instance, fixing a leaky oil pan. The gasket in here is holding on for dear life, so yeah, that definitely needs to be replaced. Our bow roller up here at the pointy end of the boat has also let out the magic smoke, so we also need to fix that. I want to drop the rudder to investigate all of our steering to get rid of that little steering issue we have. Here in the technical compartment, one of the housings for the membranes for the water maker has a slight leak. We'd also like to add a bathing platform to the transom, so we'll have an easier time getting scuba gear in and out of the dinghy. That is to mention but a few of the projects on the to-do list. And we figured out that it is fairly expensive to haul out in the US, but please keep in mind that this is coming from a Danish guy back in Denmark. I think it was 150 US dollars equivalent to haul out Athena. And then for a year up on the hard, it was like 50 bucks, 100 bucks, something like that. We heard from other cruisers that it's very affordable to haul out and get boat work done down in Trinidad. But down there, there's also, at least according to the statistics, a relatively high crime rate. Then by coincidence, we talked to our friends Zach and Becca aboard Taylor, and they mentioned they were hauling out over in Aruba. The prices we've seen in Aruba are about the same as the ones we saw in Trinidad, but then Aruba has one of the lowest crime rates in all of the Caribbean. Our original plan was to go north to the US to be able to have a summer in the US. We would haul out there, we could spend time with Ava's family, and we could also get to meet up with a lot of you guys. But we have to go really far north. It is way more expensive to haul out up there. It's way more expensive to get work done on the boat. And then there's the trip coming back down, which has a little bit of a rough reputation. Considering all of that, and also including that flights from Aruba to the US aren't that expensive, we have opted to go south, and in fact we've already booked our haul out in Aruba. We'll do our very best to see if we can attend the boat show in Annapolis in October to meet up with some of you guys, but we won't be bringing Athena to the US until the next hurricane season. Anywho, today is Sunday, immigration is closed today, and we need to clear out of Barbados before we can buy duty-free diesel to refuel Athena. So we'll have to wait until tomorrow to do that, which means today is free to go do a bit of diving. A short dinghy ride from here is actually the third highest rated dive spot in Barbados. But we don't have an underwater housing for our GoPro, so we can only go to 10 meters with it, and the wreck is a little bit below that. So we can't take you to the wreck, but we can show you how beautiful it is just right behind the boat. Our gear is all prepped, so let's go diving.
What's the #1 injury that divers get? Sunburn. So you better apply your sunscreen. Mads.
There are a lot of boats moving around in this area, so we inflated our little diver below marker. Our first stop below the surface was to retrieve a clothing pin Ava accidentally dropped overboard. Thusly, back in good standing with Mother Nature, we started looking around. The area right below the boat is not super colorful, but it is teeming with life. I want to point out that we of course anchored in a sandy patch to not damage any coral. After a recent snorkeling trip, we knew that there was more to see in the shallow water closer to the shore, so we headed due east. Once we got into the shallow water, we were greeted by Mr. Trumpetfish and this little sea snake trying very hard to get away from the annoying human shoving a camera in its face. My favorite thing to do while diving is to get up close and see what's hiding in between coral or in little holes. On our recent snorkeling trip, we spotted a tiny little baby moray eel that I was really hoping to be able to show you guys. But alas, our search was unsuccessful. Safely back aboard the boat, I immediately filled our tanks so they're ready for our next adventure. Having a dive compressor aboard is nothing short of amazing. I have started looking for better camera gear to use underwater, figuring that we might be able to bring something back from the US. Now, if you are familiar with any kind of underwater housing, that would be good to use along with our Sony A7C, and maybe what kind of lens to use. I would love to hear from you, so leave a comment down below. Today is Monday, and it's Ava's birthday. And what does any wife really want for her birthday? If you answered diesel refueling, then your answer would be correct.
Woohoo!
Because basically, if you think about it, diesel is just liquid diamonds. We'll refuel using our jerry cans because the fuel jelly in here is not really the easiest place to fender off. But like I've mentioned, our first stop is going to be immigration, because once we've cleared out of Barbados, then we can buy the diesel without paying duty. Refueling with the jerry cans is nobody's favorite, but as you can see here, there's some big plastic pipe on the fuel jetty which makes fendering off basically impossible. So to not scratch up the boat, the jerry cans, that's really the only option. But yeah, we picked up the first load. Unfortunately, I think we'll need another 2 rounds until we're done refueling. After a couple more trips back and forth, we managed to top off our tanks. We could only squeeze in about 200 liters, and of course most of that was burnt on the Atlantic crossing those first 4 days without any wind. Since we've been here in the Caribbean, anchoring, we haven't really used a lot of fuel. I think we've put about 20 hours on the genset over the last month or so. With that in mind and the very reliable winds here, I don't think we'll have to refuel again until early next season, just to make sure we have some diesel aboard for the dive compressor and stuff like that. But yeah, we're now fueled and basically ready to go. Tomorrow morning we pull up the anchor and leave Barbados, heading for the Grenadines. That is going to be roughly a 95-mile jump, I think, to the island right down here, Bequia, something like that. We plan on staying in the Grenadines for a few weeks, then maybe do a short stop in Grenada before then jumping to the ABCs. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we'll then haul out on Aruba for a few weeks, maybe a month. We'll see what happens. And then once the hurricane season is over, then we'll most likely go north up to Puerto Rico and then start working our way down the chain of islands in the Caribbean for the next season.
Before we end this week's video, we just want to mention two things real quickly. And the first is, maybe some of you remember, last summer Mads lovingly nicknamed seagulls majestic poop birds, and that gave me the idea to crochet a half seagull, half mermaid, the Murgle, the majestic poop bird. And I sold them last summer. It went really well, and I've been working on a new batch, and they are ready for pre-order, and it's going to start today. So if you would like to bring home your own majestic poop bird, poop not included, you can head over to the Sal Life shop. We will put the link below, and the order should ship out in the beginning of August. Take me home.
The second thing we want to mention before ending this video is the fact that we know that a lot of channels have covered the Caribbean extensively over the last 5-10 years. And seeing as we're going to be here for the next year, we're very curious as to what you guys want to see from the Caribbean and what you want to see from our videos. So we've created a super short 6-question survey. It's only going to take like a minute to fill out, and if you've got a minute to spare, we would love to hear your opinion. There's a link down in the description. And that's going to be the end of this week's video. We hope to see all of you guys back here at Wat Athena next week for some Oh Glorious Sailing and the Grenadines. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video,
Please remember to leave a like.
see you!